Exercise 905 is about the range and interquartile range. It also talks about outliers in here in a bit more detail. So we should already know the range is the highest score minus the lowest score. The interquartile range is the upper quartile minus the lower quartile. Outliers are anything smaller than the first quartile minus 1.5 times the interquartile range, and anything bigger than the upper quartile plus 1.5 times the interquartile range. So here's an example. Let's find the range and interquartile range for this set of data. So here are our numbers. The first thing we should do for interquartile range is actually find the median. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers. So let's split them in half down the middle. Let's split them in half again for the quartiles. There we go. So our Q1 is 7, halfway between 7 and 7. And our Q3 is the average of 15 and 20. So 15 plus 20 over 2, which is 35. Half of 34 is 17, so 17.5. So our range is just going to be 21 minus 3. So that equals 18. And our interquartile range is 17.5 minus 7. So that equals 10.5. Okay, let's look at a second example. Here we've got a box and whisker plot. Quite an easy way to do it. So our range is just 11 minus 2. So that's 9. And our interquartile range is 10 minus 7. So that's a very easy one. Okay, here we've got our cumulative frequency polygon and ogive. So remember, we use the ogive to find things. Now this number's 21. I think it's easier to notice that the tallest column is 7 squares up. So if we go straight across from 3.5 squares up, so right there, if we just go straight across from there to our ogive, remember, and straight down and estimate. So these are going up in 5s. So that'd be 12.5 there. Let's just say around about 13 for our median, or quartile 2. And then half that again for our upper and lower quartile. So 3.5 squares. So let's go halfway between, so you can see it here, 3.5 squares there. So halfway is about there. So that will be Q3. Straight down there. I've got that about 17. So Q3 equals 17. And to find Q1, we want half of this distance here. So round about there. Remember, this doesn't need to be exactly perfect, but pretty close. It's just a little bit under 10. I'm going to call it 9. It's close enough. So our highest score, now because these go up in 5s, that'd be 2.5 up there. So I'm going to call that 22.5 minus 2.5. So that equals 20. Our interquartile range is going to be 17 minus 9. So let's call that 8. Well, that is 8. Okay, here's an example for finding an outlier. So we're looking at this data set here. So we first need to find our median and quartiles. So I have 7 numbers, so 2 groups of 3 with 1 left over in the middle. Lower quartile is the middle of these 3, so that one. Upper quartile is the middle of these 3. So our interquartile range is 9 minus 7, it equals 2. 1.5 times the interquartile range, so 1.5 times 2 equals 3. So Q1 is 7 minus 3 equals 4. And Q3 was 9 plus 3 equals 12. So the outliers are anything that is smaller than 4 and bigger than 12. So 4 is not smaller than 4, so that's not an outlier, but 17 is an outlier.